Science didn't know, but dedicated scientists were willing to risk their lives to find out.
This lungfish, the bridge between fish and the land animal. This one was a pig. It hasn't changed in millions of years. But here we have a clue to an answer.
Starring Richard Carlson, grimly adventuring underwater in the depths of the mighty Amazon. Lovely Julia Adams, her beauty a lure even to the man-beast from the dawn of time. With Richard Jennings, whose scientific passion turned to the fury of revenge. You'll see the most amazing underwater photography that the screen has ever known. In this strangest of all science fiction adventures.
Four-man bed so far.
We're staying until we get it.
Or until somebody else gets killed.
Famous Monsters of Hollywood magazine names it Shock Award winner, the Monster of Piedras Blancas. The Monster of Piedras Blancas, the world's most shocking monster, stalks its unsuspecting prey, feasts its eyes on the next victim to writhe in its slimy arms. The screen's most nightmarish beast. A claw-fingered, scaly-skinned, half-human crustacean, turning a lonely lighthouse village into a frenzied bedlam of blood-curdling horror. Never have you known such cringing terror, such drawn by love to the forbidden cove of the sea monster, then trapped in a torment of unendurable suspense. In the screen monsterama of 1,000 incredible... See the movie named the most brain-paralyzing shock story of them all, The Monster of Piedras Blancas.
Good evening, goblins and ghouls, and welcome to the Friday Night Scream Stream. I'm your host, Spakenstein, and I'm joined here in the co-pilot seat tonight by my very good friend, Mr. Evan Sink.
Hello, hello.
How are we doing tonight, Evan?
Doing great.
As you can see, Fresh Rogan could not be with us tonight, so it's back to the gruesome twosome. We love having Fresh on here, but hey, when Fresh is busy, We go down to the 2 configuration. When they're both busy, you just get to stare at my ugly mug for 2.5 hours while I just rant at you about useless horror movie facts. With these wonderful, wonderful, wild public domain horror movies that we watch here every Friday night. So thank you guys for joining us. We have got a doozy lined up for you. It is 1961's Creature from the Haunted Sea.
What a doozy.
What a doozy, and it's from one of my favorite filmmakers who we will become very familiar with on the show, Roger Corman. We've already watched 2 of his films so far. So we've got...
Wait, what was the second one?
So we watched The Terror, and we watched Bucket of Blood. Right.
Yeah.
So The Terror is more late stage Roger Corman. This Terror was actually 2 or 3 years after tonight's film. He had done his Edgar Allan Poe movies. He had done
when did he do Pet Shop?
Little Shop of Horrors.
Sorry, Little Shop.
Pet Shop of Horrors.
Pet Shop of Horrors.
This dog you sold me, it's not a dog at all. It's a werewolf. No returns, I'm sorry.
This dog is a plant.
I was trying to think of a play on the Dead Parrot sketch, but I'm finding here that I'm in a brain fog recently, and now it all escapes me. But yes, no. Little Shop of Horrors was 19... It was before tonight's films. It was filmed in 59. I don't think it came out till 60. It might have been filmed in 58. Either 58 or 59. It took a while. They filmed it, Little Shop of Horrors, in 3 days, but it came out. I think it took a while for them to actually put it out. Because the thing was, at this point in Roger Corman's career, and as we'll learn more as I talk about tonight's film, he was just cranking out movies.
Yeah, that's kind of his MO. If anyone could make a movie in, what did you say, 3 days?
Yeah, that was, well, I think it was like 2.5 days, 2 days, 2.5 days, something like that. Yeah, and that was, if he could squeeze in a movie, if he'd be hired to make one movie, or with his own company go and make his own movie. But if he had money left over and the actors were game to make another movie, he would just, do a second movie.
This one's just for funsies.
Oh,
guys.
wait, I guess he produced Dementia 13. So I guess we've done 3 Roger Corman produced films. So
Wow.
That's the other one I forgot. So that Dementia 13 was a case of, he had a big film, The Young Racers, and then Francis Ford Coppola said, hey, do you want to produce, or no, Roger said to Francis, hey, do you want to direct a horror movie like with these actors from my big movie, and I'll produce your, a low budget horror movie, do a Psycho ripoff. And that's how we got Dementia 13. So Roger was, especially in that case, they were in Europe. So they were filming The Young Racers, which I can't remember where they shot that, but then Dementia 13 was shot in Ireland. So it was kind of that case of like, he would go shoot movies in these crazy locations because he kind of viewed it as a vacation. He would crank out the movies really fast. He would be sent to make one movie, make 2 in a way shorter schedule than he had been allowed, and then, go buy a sports car, and go like find a woman. And he was just very, he was a young man. So he was just like, constantly, and you'll find out more about how crazy his schedule was with this movie. And again,
speeding through his homework to get to the...
I mean, really, and again, tonight's film is a perfect example. And, it's a horror comedy. The other movie that, or one of the movies that we watched in season 1, Bucket of Blood, which I did solo. That was a solo flight. That, and you can catch it on YouTube. Bucket of Blood was the first horror comedy that Roger Corman did, then Little Shop of Horrors, and then this.
Pet Shop of Horrors.
Pet Shop of Horrors, and then Creature from the Haunted Sea. And so it very much fits within that same vein. And there really weren't a lot of horror comedies. There were, not in the way that we know them now. These movies were kind of the beginnings of horror comedies as we know them now. Before that, you had like Abbott and Costello meet whatever, and it wasn't really, it's different. It's
Key
very
and Peele
different.
meet Frankenstein.
Right, yeah, which, hey, we got Evan did a great Dolly 2 generation of that. We got to post that on the Scream Stream Twitter. That would be good. I already posted my Bela Lugosi getting in a fight with the Count from Sesame Street, which I don't know why in one of those pictures it looks like Bela Lugosi's about to punch Cookie Monster, but hey, I'm here for it. It was great. It made me,
He's just fighting everybody.
He's just, he was there to beat up all the
terrorizing
whatever
the
resident
Muppets.
of the street he could get his hands on. Those Muppets didn't stand a chance. And so we're gonna have to get the Key and Peele one up too. But horror comedy was not things like social satire and really dry, self-aware humor, like knowing that it's a horror movie. Like, I mean, you have early examples of that, but this is where Roger Corman he cranked out 3 movies that he was like, okay, nobody else is doing horror comedies right now in this way. So it's unique, and he felt like he was doing a new genre. So I like to give him that cred. He deserves it, if anything. So as always, Evan brings us a wonderful drink to pair with the evening's public domain horror selection in a little segment which Evan calls...
What were you drinking?
What were you drinking?
What were you drinking? Tonight's drink is... should be a fun one, something we haven't done yet.
Yeah. I guess you're right about that, Evan.
It's true, So I've got a fully stocked bar here beside me, everything that I need, and I can make you anything you want as long as what you want is the Sea Monster, which is tonight's drink. This is made with spiced rum, grapefruit juice, ginger beer, and some grenadine. And Garrett's giving me a little bit of a look because
I'm giving you a lot of bit of a look.
I made a grave error and got the wrong kind of juice. So
not only, like, when he says the wrong kind of juice, it's not like it was grapefruit juice and he got orange juice. I'm sorry. I'll let you continue.
So we're having this one with cranberry juice. So we're gonna see how that. I don't hate cranberry juice. It's fine. Garrett doesn't like it apparently.
Not really. But hey, I forgot about the ginger beer.
Ginger beer is gonna be most of the flavor anyway.
So I was excited to see how the ginger beer paired with the grapefruit juice. But hey, I mean, I'll see how it pairs with the cranberry juice.
So
it'll be fine.
Here we go.
Well, it looks cool. I like the color.
It's a nice color. Kind of blood red.
Is there grenadine in this?
Yes.
All right.
So,
well, cheers, everybody. Interesting. It's interesting. I like it. It's the first things that I tasted, of course, were the rum and the ginger beer. And then I got a subtle hint of a bitter cranberry.
Yeah.
And so that's,
It's pretty good.
It's not bad. It is really good. Again.
Anything with ginger beer.
Anything with ginger beer
and also unlike a lot of the stuff that I make over here, this doesn't really have that much alcohol in it. It's
That was one thing that I realized about tonight's drink whenever you sent over the recipe was that this is actually kind of a light beverage compared to last week's beverage.
Right.
Which, if you were following and you saw...
If you were watching our deterioration over the course of an hour and a half.
Yeah, what was that called? The Invisibile.
Yeah.
The Invisibile.
Invisibile.
Basically an Italian Long Island iced tea. So pretty
It's like
much
lemonade.
and like a nice, cool lemonade, which was good.
And a lot of vodka.
Right, a lot of vodka, gin. Was there rum in there?
Yeah, white rum.
White rum. I mean, it was
Tequila.
It was intense. And I think we had 2, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we had 2. And hey, tonight's drink is very, it's light, so it's a nice change
it's a good
of pace
summery kind of drink.
Right. I will give you that. As much as I don't like cranberry, it does have a summer look, certainly, and a summer taste, I would say.
So, try it at home. I made it wrong, and it's still pretty good. So, surely the correct way to make this drink is even better.
Right. Which, again, I can't even say that I'm a big fan of grapefruit. I don't eat
Not
grapefruit.
really. I don't really
and I don't
care for it.
drink grapefruit juice, but I don't know. The citrus.
What could have been?
What could have been with the citrus? I don't know. Maybe that's, and that's the thing. Maybe thinking about this is it's very sweet in a way that
It could use a little bit of...
it needs a sour. It needs
Yeah,
a
it needs a
tang.
little
It
bit of
needs
that
like a
acidic.
squirt of lemon juice or
Yeah.
a squirt of lime juice. So maybe at the break, I'll run downstairs and
We'll modify.
yeah. I mean, hey, it's that the beauty of these cocktails is, the recipe is a jumping off point.
Yeah,
Whatever
exactly.
you have in your cabinets is fair game to throw. If you want it more alcoholic, less alcoholic, you want to load it up with sugar. You do you.
A recipe is just an invitation for collaboration. I think is what they say.
I do believe that is what they say. I do believe I've heard that. Yeah, no. So it's good. It's good, but I do. Yeah, I mean, I think a little bit of citrus, a little something.
Yeah.
But
We'll fix it.
But it is. Yeah, we'll fix it. Well, hey, it's not broken. It's not broken.
We'll improve it.
Yes, improvement. Yes, I like that. Much better word. So, drink is pretty good, I have to say. What is this episode? This is the 7th episode of season 2. This is episode 17. You've brought us at least 15 to 16 drinks at this point.
Well, there's infinite cocktails out there.
There are.
Luckily, most of them use pretty much, pretty close to the same ingredients.
Right. It's you're not having to constantly go to the liquor store every week.
Right.
But you're usually having to get something, supply some kind of ingredient. But if you had to rank like a top 3 of the drinks that we've done in all 17 episodes of the show so far,
I'm gonna see if
Put
I
you
can
on the spot.
remember 3.
right?
Honestly.
That's the trick.
I
That's
mean,
the trick.
Maybe top 1 would have been when we just cheated and said, "Hey, we're just gonna have White Russians this time." Doesn't really have anything to do with the movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. What was that? What was that
It
for?
was the season 1 finale, I think.
White Zombie? We just...
Yeah, okay,
because
it
you
was
weren't in
the-
studio.
It's kind of tangential.
Yeah, I had COVID, wasn't even sure if I could drink,
Right.
but I had the ingredients for a White Russian, so I did drink, and I did have that White Russian, and it was delicious.
Yeah. The one that, the original one from last season, that one was pretty good.
The Dead Man's Bootstrap.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that was that last night or 2 nights ago? That was one of my favorites for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really good drink. And I mean, hey, the Dirty Banana,
That one was good.
that one was really
We did one
good.
with Prosecco one time that I think was pretty good.
Yeah, we did. That was one of the early
Yeah, I
ones.
don't
I can't
remember
remember
what
which
it
one.
was.
That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad. I mean, we have, again, we have an array of cocktails to pair with whatever public domain horror movie we've got 16 other ones for you to enjoy. Well, cocktails we've got like 15.
What's the cinema version of a sommelier?
Ah, touche. What is that? I don't know. I can't think. What would you call that? Cinema version of a sommelier.
What pairs well with a aquatic monster movie?
An aquatic, yes, aquatic monster movie, an aquatic creature feature. What pairs well?
This nice bottle of Chardonnay.
Yes, maybe a nice bottle of Chardonnay. Maybe a little hypnotic. A little blue. A little blue. You can never go wrong.
Everything that's blue.
Everything that's blue is good for you. If it's blue, it's healthy.
That means it's healthy.
All the healthiest foods are blue. Wouldn't that be that, Evan, it wouldn't shock me if even in 15 years that starts being like a service where people are like, because watching things is just becoming so much. I mean, it always has been a part of culture, really, from just people watching movies to TV.
I mean,
to
people
now
going to the theater,
right?
Which for thousands of years people have been doing.
Yeah, honestly, I forget about that. The traditions of the theater go all the way back to the origins. Of
what else are you gonna do? You finish picking all the wheat out of the field. You still got some daylight to burn. I guess we might as well go see these actors.
Right, it's so crazy to think that that's like a kind of a common bond that throughout time and history and culture, whatever, that everybody likes to be entertained, right? Everybody likes to, but it's the evolutions of entertainment over time are what are really interesting, and that's what I think that's what I'm seeing. Your musing is not, I don't think it's far off, because the viewing experience now is more catered than ever to making it as luxury as possible, right? So it's like, well, if I'm going to devote my time to watching this movie, then I need to make sure that I'm, going to have a proper meal. This is going to pair well with this fine 2.5 hour drama that I am.
I think I'm having an idea for a what do you call those? The monthly boxes of a subscription box for movies and thematic meals.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I like that. That's TM. If it hasn't been on that, we got it. Yeah, no, Sylarn, no, this is not about a me eating thing. This has nothing to do with me and food. Sylarn, you'd be the first person to subscribe to these movie boxes, and you'd order, 20 of them, and you'd just eat the food, and you wouldn't watch the movie if your Blair Witch boxes prove anything. Eat that, Sylarn. I mean, not to go too hard in on Sylar, but he did order this Blair Witch Hunt-A-Killer thing that I did, and that the boxes just kept coming in. We have 12 unopened Hunt-A-Killer Blair Witch boxes, so Sylar is selling those for a hefty price. So if you're interested in buying them off of Sylar,
if you want to figure out who the killer is,
he's already done the first box for you. And then Ellie has worked her. Yes. Oh, that's incorrect. Oh, okay, Sylar. I'm sorry. Correct me then. Your Blair Witch escapades did not last very long. Is all that is the point that I would make. It's But I mean, hey, they sent you a lot of weird shit in those boxes, and we haven't even opened them. God knows. So at a hefty price.
Smells like there's a dead animal in one of them.
Yeah, there's probably a dead bird. Certainly a dead bird.
Part of the mystery.
Part of the mystery.
Part of the mystery is who sent me this dead bird.
Who sent me this dead bird wrapped in what appears to be? Is this a piece of my own clothing? How did you get this? Right.
They're
Yes. It is a mystery, Silarn. I don't know how many boxes there are, but there are a lot. Maybe there's not 12, but there's at least 9.
It's a mystery.
That's the mystery. Who cares if there's a witch in the woods killing kids?
Who's sending me these damn packages?
Sending me all these packages. I thought I canceled the subscription months ago. But you're the only person who can find out who the killer is.
Is it illegal to mail somebody a series of boxes that just have a fun puzzle in them?
Well, it depends. If the instructions look like a ransom note, then you know that you've gone. You maybe that's the wrong direction. Maybe that was the wrong way.
Anything on this side of that line,
right? Then I think you're good. So I mean, whatever weird shit you want to throw in that box, let's solve the mystery.
It's part of the mystery.
Part of the mystery.
This one's just a box of gravel. It's part of the mystery.
Part of the mystery. Could the gravel? Could there be enough pieces of gravel to give you a number that is a clue to it? See, I don't know.
If you assemble these pieces of gravel,
right? Yes. No.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's what Silarn's Blair Witch box is. It's hunt a killer.
Right.
And
our idea is to pair a meal and a cocktail
meal and a movie,
or a glass of wine, or a bottle of wine with that.
Right. Give them, and eventually, hey, you give them a full course. You got to make sure it's a hefty meal, because, I like to eat a good meal before I go into the movies. I'm not necessarily the kind of person to fill up on popcorn and, I don't like to. I'd like to have eaten a good meal before I see the movie. Yes, Silarn, I will, and I'll eat all your food, and you'll still be fatter than I am. So, eat it. Yeah, I do like to eat. I do. Food is good. You can quote me on that.
Man, I didn't know you were not a big popcorn guy. To me, like going to...
I like it.
Going to the cinema as an experience just isn't complete if you're not like...
No. I'll eat popcorn at the movies. I'm just saying that I don't like to go into a movie with an empty stomach and then just fill up on popcorn.
Okay.
Because I don't like how I feel after I have filled myself full of salt and butter and what. It's like, give me a meal as a base, and I have no problem putting popcorn on top of that. But if I will just eat a whole thing of popcorn, and then I'll feel terrible about myself. So,
no. Do you ever sneak in some food in your clothes?
No.
Before I eat this popcorn, I'm gonna eat this pot roast real quick.
No, it's actually not a bad idea. It's certainly crossed my mind. I can't say that it hasn't, but at the same time, I'm just again. I like even the experience of going and eating a meal and then going to the movie. I mean, hey, last movie I went to, we were scrambling to get to a Jersey Mike's and get our subs and eat them as fast as we could and get back to the movie theater before it started. It was the Bob's Burgers movie, and it was, yeah, I enjoyed it. And I was very happy that I had that. And we ate popcorn. I'm not saying I don't love popcorn. I love popcorn. I just don't like to just, because I'll get candy too.
Right, yeah.
I don't always like how my stomach feels after I'm just filled up on popcorn and candy and soda.
Yeah, I feel you, yeah.
So,
This guy's buying too many sandwiches.
They said you can't get 2 giant sandwiches. That's against our policy. It's.
They say you got to go back around. You got to get back in line.
Right, get back in line, and then we'll see if there's enough.
It's like a ride at an amusement park.
Right, pretty much. I mean, thankfully, they hustled me out of there pretty quick, and we got to the movie on time. So I have to give them credit for that, Silarn. I mean, I just, yeah, I don't know. I like food, Cylon, so. Eat it. So yeah, if you're eating popcorn right now, you know what? God, now you guys got me thinking about food, and now I'm thinking that Evan and I need to have like little like snacks, like little snack bowls, like beside, like I need some trail mix or some party mix or some popcorn or some.
Well, I figured out the alcohol. You figure out the food.
Oh, okay. Hey, that's actually not a bad idea.
And a bit was born.
It really, you have given me.
Yeah, exactly. What movie pairs well with rotisserie chicken?
Well, let's see. Probably not Night of the Living Dead. When there's some, close up of a lady eating like raw meat off the bone, it's probably not the best time to have a chicken leg in your mouth, but I mean, maybe that would be a good pairing. Who knows? Just gross everybody out. Eat, slot. See, that's the reason why we can't eat on the show. Because if I was eating on this show, and I have to give it to Cylon that he does have a point with this, is that I'd probably be making a mess over here if I was eating during the show. It would turn into a terrible ASMR thing. Yes, yes, Cylon, if Cronenberg films were in the public domain, certainly rotisserie chicken would go great with Cronenberg. That's what they say. That's what they say on Twitter, anyway.
That's what it says on the package.
Right. Yeah, it goes great with Cronenberg movies. That's what companies need to start doing, is putting it on the boxes what movies and what television shows their food, instead of recipes. What is your food? What movie?
Honestly,
what TV
I would
show
love
does
that.
It makes it easier. It honestly makes it easier to decide what you want to watch. Because then if you get the food and then you look on the package, it's telling you what to watch, and you're like, all right, I guess I'm watching that. Yes, I would turn into Orson Welles if I was eating during the show. It would look like that. My gut would be protruding, and
this week's drink is champagne.
Yes, yeah. There's 4 bottles of champagne. Let me get a 5th bottle of champagne. If you don't know about Orson Welles, I feel like his whole deal was that he'd order one of things, and then he'd order seconds at least, if not more than that. But I can't corroborate that. I haven't read enough, or no, I haven't reread his Wikipedia page in long enough time to know. Really need to read a biography about him, maybe.
There's
a California champagne by Paul Masson. Yes, there is. So we'd have to get some Paul Masson. There are some Orson Welles movies that are public domain. They're not horror movies, but that's what you would pair with those Orson Welles movies. You'd pair some Paul Masson inspired by that same French excellence. Yeah. God love Orson Welles. God rest his soul. Speaking of auteurs, the pantheon of great directors like Orson Welles and John Ford and all these old school guys. Then you have the new school, and right up there with them is Roger Corman, and that's who we're celebrating tonight. If there's any one person, we're celebrating Roger Corman. We're about to get into Creature of the Haunted Sea. It is a horror comedy. There's some satire in here. It takes place in Cuba during the revolution in 1959, or I think it was 59. No, Cylon, don't you say that about Roger Corman. He's alive and well, and I don't need you to jinx anything or say anything. Roger Corman is a treasure, and we need to keep him safe. And What?
It's pronounced Cuba.
Oh, yes, you're right, Cylon. It is pronounced Cuba. Yes, I forgot. That's a good point. Cuba. Yeah, so there is if you didn't know about the revolution in Cuba in 1959.
You've never heard about this guy?
Fidel Castro. Little guy named Fidel Castro.
Not very well known.
Ever heard of him?
He's kind of underground.
Under the radar. Him and Che Guevara, real rebels, if you know what I'm saying, literally and figuratively. That's kind of the fun thing here, and the whole reason that we're in Cuba is because this film is actually shot in Puerto Rico.
Oh,
and
that's almost Cuba.
Almost Cuba. So there's a whole story, and I will dig into all that. I don't know who that is, Cylon. Bill Morgan and S. Kim. I don't know what that is. Cylon, if you are joining us live and you're looking in the chat, Cylon's probably about to drop some mad history knowledge on you guys. So get ready for it, because I don't know what he's talking about. Study history. Yes, yeah. Cylon. I know. You know more about history than I do. Why don't you start your own history stream, bro? You start your own history stream and then come at me. No, so we are celebrating Roger Corman, and this movie is a lot of fun. It is a horror comedy. The comedy's really dry, so just fair warning. It may be kind of dated, but yeah, bring plenty of water, plenty of hydration for this super dry comedy. Evan, anything before we get into tonight's film? I mean, what do we think? Creature from the Haunted Sea, sea monster movies is another thing we'll be talking about. We saw some trailers before the start of the show, and so, you kind of know.
Is this kind of based on anything? Is this based on Creature or the Black
So
Lagoon?
It's kind of more based on some other films that Roger Corman did before this that had scripts written that he just recycled a story. But the whole idea of a sea monster and it comes out of that genre, which did really start with Creature of the Black Lagoon. When you're talking water, like aquatic horror creatures, it really started with Creature of the Black Lagoon. You had
rubber suit.
Right. You had 3 of those movies, which ended with Creature Walks Among Us, which is actually a good movie. I like it. Some people don't like it, but I like it. And then you had a bunch of you had some giant monsters, sea creature stuff. Of course, Godzilla came from the sea. So it was kind of like a trope that was getting worn out. And Roger Corman actually did some sea creature monster movies even before this, which we'll see the trailers for those later on. So it was kind of like an amalgamation of like all these things Roger Corman had already done up to this point. All these B movies he already cranked out. This is a parody of all those B movies, because there's intrigue, there's like political stuff, gangster stuff. There's all these different things, and Roger didn't just make horror movies. He made action and westerns and war movies and dramas, all kinds of stuff. So science fiction. So this is kind of a parody of everything. So, you can't quite know what to look forward to, but should be exciting.
Let's get to it.
All right. Well, without further ado, we're going to get into Creature from the Haunted Sea. Turn that volume up. There we go. Film Group was Roger Corman's company, which that's why a lot of his movies, they didn't copyright their movies for whatever reason. That's why we're going to see a lot of Roger Corman movies.
Copyrighting your movies is so mainstream.
Who needs that? I'm a rebel. I don't need to copyright my movies.
Power to the people, man.
I mean, man, talk about somebody who literally, you know, Corman, I think in his autobiography, it's set up in this way that he's the most square rebel of like all time, because he was a rebel against the system, but he was very, you know, he was hung out with Jack Nicholson and all these people. He was very much the straight-laced guy, but he did what he wanted. He cranked shit out. And again, tonight's movie, talk about cranking it out.
Yeah, how many days did it take to make this one?
Well, it took 5 days to make, but from conception to the end of production, from when he had the idea to the end of the 5 days, it was 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Jeez.
Yeah.
The most improbable event of the 20th century occurred in Havana, Cuba. The revolutionary victors marched in, and the national complexion changed completely. They had been liberated. The survivors of the old regime escaped as best they could, taking with them only a few meager effects, such as the Cuban treasury and other art objects. It wasn't always easy to smuggle a loot out of Cuba, and so secret meetings were being held all over the island. This story of robbery, double cross, and murder begins with just such a meeting.
There's a drug deal going on. Flash them lights. Let them know the deal's going down.
You're in the coconut plantation.
Are you Renzo Capero?
I am. Who are you?
Never mind who I am. It's the mission that counts.
Let's get on with it.
As an American gambler and gangster, you're above suspicion.
Is that Bela Lugosi?
Of course, you know that our government has been
Hey.
overthrown.
You know, I heard that.
Got the same features.
But not for long.
The beat
We'll be
on that
back.
guy.
And if you think you're seeing executions now, oh boy.
Bravo.
Bravissimo. But of course, in order to finance a great counter-revolution, it has been necessary for us to steal the Cuban treasure.
Hurrah.
Shut up. Let us proceed. You're going to lose your casino, so you'll be leaving Cuba anyway. You have a big yacht, and you can
Yeah,
leave
this
anytime
guy's
you
saying
want.
Cuba. He's
Such
not
as
saying
immediately.
Cuba.
Therefore, I'm going to entrust you a solemn trust. Here we
This
have one
Cuban
for the
can't
Cuban
even say Cuba right.
General Tostada, Coronel Cabeza Grande, and a squad of men will proceed to Ciudad Trujillo. There you'll wait for us to contact you and relieve you of the
What do
money.
you say,
One-fifth of
Opie
which
and
will be
Rod
paid to you.
Serling?
Do you understand?
I get the whole picture.
That is exactly what they look like.
Señores,
Opie, Richie Cunningham, definitely Ron Howard for sure.
General Tostada, Coronel Cabeza Grande, Señor Renzo Capetto.
General
y-
Tostada.
Bien. Mis buenos amigos americanos, nos cabe el honor de preservar el honor del honor cubano. En un solemne acto de confianza han confiado en nuestras confiables manos ese botín con el cual reconstruiremos todo lo que Castro piensa construir. Yo saludo.
Mm,
And now, the gold.
so that's the Cuban treasury, huh? That's all of it. All the gold in Cuba.
You two had better get into the car.
The general doesn't know any English, Senor Capero. I'll be his translator for you. Bueno?
Bueno.
Bueno. Métanse al auto.
Now it's time to go. Adios.
Adios.
I'll see you later, huh?
Pronto.
Big ass cars driving out in the middle of the. I don't even know how buses getting around.
Off-roading.
Uh oh.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Oh no!
Yeah, that was one take
sucks to
for
be that
sure. One take for sure. God, could you imagine those guys? Hold the fuck on. Do not let go. I mean, it's just Roger Corman out here in Puerto Rico. No rules, dude. They are.
Anything goes.
He is not
Making a
worried
fucking movie.
about a thing. I mean, it's sped up, but my God.
The first move in the great conspiracy had been made. The Cuban treasury was now in the gentle hands of Renzo Capetto, the most trustworthy man ever to be deported from Sicily. They thought they were smart. But little did they know that I, Sparks Moran, was an American agent. Luckily, I had been able to work my way into the crew by posing as a notorious gum machine burglar from Chicago. My real name is XK150.
Hey, you. Come on down here and help with this.
How'd it go, Bubsy?
We had a hairy little chase, but we got the stuff.
We got the stuff.
Hey, Colonel Grande, you can bring your men aboard.
What happens with all that
Grande.
mob?
I don't know. I thought we'd just have an officer or two, but it looks like we're going to have a little difficulty.
You think of a way to remove them and grab that loot? 'Cause you're my big, strong, swinging brain.
You're sweet, Davy.
Hi, sis.
Hi, baby doll. Did they scare you?
Just a little.
Oh.
All right, boys. Get ready to go. Pete, take the wheel. Jack, you and Sparks, get ready to cast off.
The boat from Cuba.
Well, well, this is a beautiful night for sailing.
And so we left Cuba forever, sailing into the most astounding adventure to be inflicted upon man. And what a group we were. The big cheese was Renzo Capetto, alias Capo Rosetto, alias Rado Pizzetti, alias Zeppo Staccato, alias Shirley Lamour. At 15, he served his first stretch for rolling a drunk in the lobby of the Waldorf Astoria New Year's Eve, 1934. In 1940, he was involved in an unsuccessful attempt to nominate Benito Mussolini for the Republican ticket. During the war, he was rejected by the Navy, Marines, and the SS. Now deported, he has retained his contacts with the syndicate and is still regarded as a dangerous character. Mary Belle Monahan, alias Mary Monahan Bell, alias Belle Mary Monahan, alias Monahan Mary Bell. They say she was a gun moll just because Lucky Luciano
joke.
gave her a Rolls Royce every Christmas. And they can't really prove that she
I mean, at
sneaked
least
into the
they're
Hollywood
trying to
Bowl with
crank
a
'em
Tommy gun
out.
and rubbed out
You
the
gotta give it
defense
to
of
'em.
Fleet Chiefs in 1956.
Give him
Oh, I
100
know
jokes,
that
and if
she got
one
nailed
lands,
cold
then
when she was
we
pushing
count that as a
heroin in the
win.
laundry room at Boys Town. But I'm willing to give anyone the benefit of the doubt, especially when she's as crazy looking as Mary Bell. This is Happy Jack Monahan, so called because he developed a muscle spasm in his cheeks from watching too many Humphrey Bogart pictures. Happy Jack's record is brief, his only crimes having been committed after his sister, Mary Bell, talked Renzo into giving him a job. Up until that time, Happy Jack had been a tennis bum, sleeping under the bleachers at Forest Hills and mooching nickels in the BMT subway.
So this character
Since
was
taking up
originally
with
written
Renzo,
for
he has
Roger
become a
Corman to
well-known
play,
dice loader and murderer.
because Corman was trying to save money,
The most
and then
obscure
he got
member
the
of
script,
our quartet is Pete
and was like, I
Peterson
can't play
Jr.,
this role, this is
son
way
of
too
Pete
big.
Peterson Sr.,
And the
famed
writer
Paul
did it on
Gilbert.
purpose.
Wow.
Pete Jr. inherited his father's talent for animal imitations, but unfortunately blew his brain out of whack
What
while
was his
imitating a
angle?
whooping
Like,
crane
was
at
he
the
just
Elks
trying to-
Convention picnic in Oshkosh in 1942. Since then,
He just threw it
anyone
to
has been
fuck
able
with
to convince
Roger
Pete of
by
anything. Renzo found him struggling along
giving
with a
him the most
pickpocket at Jones
complicated,
Beach,
one of the more
and took him
complicated
with him
roles
in
in the
his
movie,
exile.
when Roger just said,
Since
it's a
then,
bit
he has
part.
been Renzo's faithful servant, shining his shoes and rubbing out his enemies. In return, Renzo permits him to imitate any animal that comes into his head.
What?
That, for instance, was the mating call of the Himalayan yak. There they are, my shipmates. I didn't know where they were taking those unsuspecting Cubans, but I knew they were taking. And so,
These
with grim
unsuspecting
faces, we
Cubans
set
who are
our helm
actually
against
Puerto
the perilous
Ricans.
future.
They just got a bunch of Puerto Rican locals.
Okay, now before I begin, has anyone anything to say? Pete? How about you, Jack? What do you think we should do? Give up?
Oh, now, honey, is that any way for Maribel's big man to talk?
Now, look. We've got to get rid of at least half of these Cubans without making the rest of them suspicious. There used to be a Cuban fisherman by the name of Hemingway. He got hooked on a sea monster in these waters a couple of years ago, and he was dragged for miles. Got a lot of publicity. We're going to show these boys the greatest sea monster they ever saw in their lives. Jack, in my trunk, there's some garden rakes used for weeding tomatoes. You get them and sharpen them like scalpers. Pete, you mix up a mess of olive oil and green ink and snag some seaweed from over the side. Now, Jack, what are you going to do? Sharpen up the garden rakes? Good boy. Pete, how about you?
Jesus Christ.
You have to do that.
Get used to it, I guess.
I'm Jack.
Was that a lollipop?
Yeah.
We've had a good life together, haven't we, baby?
My lips aren't moving, but you can hear.
Winters in Tijuana, summers in Cicero. Remember that
He
wonderful
was
trip we took to
speaking to
Monte
her
Carlo?
via telepathy.
You mean at the time we
Right,
heisted all those
right.
$100 chips? Sure.
I'll admit, I couldn't really hear anything through that door, but I was sure they were up to no good. I knew it was up to me to stop them.
Now we're off again to parts unknown.
It's like a second honeymoon.
You know something? We ought to get married.
Now don't be a drag, baby.
How much Jack you think's in that strong arm?
He almost jumped off that bench.
Yeah, he
Plenty
was
of Cuban sugar, though.
not gonna have
What do you
that.
do
Not standing
with
for
all
that.
it?
I don't know. I always wanted to open up a home for the aged hoodlums.
What?
Baby, you got a heart as
Yeah,
big as
yeah,
all
very
the
strong.
stars.
He was not sending any mixed signals there.
A government agent lives in constant peril. I devised my undetectable radio set using simulated hot dogs for knobs and tubes
What?
inside of dill pickles while watching a number of sewer workmen during lunch hour. It comes in mighty handy, believe you me. One little slip and I could be headed for Davy Jones' locker. Hello, Havana.
Just
this is
like
Agent
in the
XK
cartoon
150.
from before.
Over. I'm making my first official report. So far, not too much has happened, but I'm anticipating. Renzo Capetto and his gang are on board as suspected. I am with them. I will call you again soon, one of these days. This is Agent XK-150 signing off.
What's happening?
Having a bite.
Gee, that looks good. Do you mind if I join you?
It's music.
Ridiculous. Huh?
The music.
So the music is by this guy named Fred Katz, and he literally sold Roger Corman the same score for like 9 movies. Or like I don't remember how many. 7.
What?
7 movies.
Like literally the same
The
score.
same. You'll hear the same music in Bucket of Blood, the same music in Little Shop of Horrors, but it's also in some straight horror movies that he did, like The Wasp Woman. I'm pretty sure it's the same music.
Would you ask the general to remove himself from my presence?
Ella dice que muy buenos días para usted, mi general. Usted para mí es como una flor del mar, como un ángel de Neptuno sonriéndole al mundo. The general says you're a golden angel flower singing.
Would you tell the general that I feel that he'd be most at home, barbecuing slowly over a hot spit?
Ella dice que mi general es un hombre muy digno y de gran empuje.
You must be a glutton for punishment.
Oh, now, what do you want?
You're too good for this life. You're young and you're innocent. You should get out.
His cigarette is like always like
It's always bent.
Just can't roll
Are
right,
you
I guess.
unwell? The getting is great.
You're a victim of circumstance.
I try. I do try.
You're a crazy mixed up kid.
I am perfectly adjusted to my life of crime. Now, what is your story?
Oh, well, you see, I'm beyond help, but you're not. You can find a clean young man to marry, and
I haven't got the time.
but I can help you, Mary Bell.
You can turn blue.
Don't worry, Mary Bell. I'll save you.
That's
Fucking
telling him out.
burn.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one. It really is.
Turn blue.
We need to bring that one back.
Yep, I like that.
A secret agent should never sleep. But there I was, dreaming of Mom's apple pie, while up on deck, Renzo and his cutthroats were taking the first step, killing an innocent Cuban, and pretending some imaginary monster did it just so they would be panicked into changing course, so that Renzo could steer them to his own picked destination.
That's supposed to be footprints? I guess so.
I guess so.
Oh shit. Ah!
Wait 1 minute, then give the alarm.
What? That wasn't even his voice. Hey.
But what none of us knew was that the monster invented by Renzo had already been invented by somebody else. By a couple of other monsters, I guess.
Wow. So that is going to take us to our first break. So that is the first act of Creature from the Haunted Scene. 2 murders right there in the last, minute or two. So finally got a little more exciting.
Yeah. I mean, they've been keeping it going. Had some.
They've
certainly had some jokes in here.
A lot of jokes. Did they land? Mostly not. But there,
Hey, you
there's
shoot enough jokes, one or two of them will stick.
Exactly. You just throw it all. I mean, hey, you can't. Not every movie can be Airplane, but you can at least have as many jokes and hope that you at least get some kind of good ratio out of it. But hey, I mean. That's the other thing too, is that I'm sure in this case especially there was a lot of improv because Roger Corman. So again, the whole kind of go into the backstory of all this a little more. Roger Corman was producing a movie in Puerto Rico, and he was directing a movie in Puerto Rico, and because there was a whole deal at the time where you would get tax incentives for manufacturing in Puerto Rico. So Corman was manufacturing movies, and that was what he said. And so he took advantage of these tax incentives. But if, again, for him, it was like a vacation where the original plan was, I'll go and I'll make 2 movies and I'll get them done fast, and then I'll have like a little bit of time to vacation.
He was manufacturing a scheme.
Right. He definitely, it always seemed that way because, again, he's going to Puerto Rico to shoot these 2 movies. At the same time, he's producing another movie that's being shot in the States, and he's sent over like his assistant, like a cameraman. He's like sent over people to go help with this one production. Well, he's going to produce a war movie. The first movie was a war movie, and he was just producing it in Puerto Rico called Battle of Blood Island. And then the second movie that he was doing, he was producing and directing, and it's called Last Woman on Earth. And it's like a science fiction, a doomsday kind of film. And the 3 leads from that are the 3 leads in tonight's film. The gangster in tonight's film, Renzo, and then his girlfriend, Mary Bell, and then the guy who's playing Agent XK, whatever, Sparks. Those were the 3 leads in The Last Woman on Earth. So, like, the story goes, like, he wrapped up the Battle of Blood Island, and then they were shooting The Last Woman on Earth for like 2 weeks. And midway through Last Woman on Earth, he was like, Roger Corman said, I'm having a lot of fun. Let's just make another movie while we're out here. Let's do another one. So he contacts one of his screenwriters who was in Los Angeles, and the guy who wrote the scripts for the other horror comedies, and he gave him a basic rundown of the plot that he wanted and said, I want a horror comedy in a week. Can you do it? And here's, they worked out the plot.
Apparently
so Corman, yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where it was a rehash of another movie that Corman had already, so this is technically a rehash of a movie that Corman did called Beast from Haunted Cave, which itself was a remake of another movie that he did, kind of remake, called Naked Paradise.
Good grief.
And
Roger Corman sounds like the kind of guy to go, there's 24 hours in a day, and a movie's 90 minutes, so let's just...
It was basically,
let's knock it out.
Let's take this script that we've already done before, change a couple elements, and we've got a whole new story. And that's essentially, like, I think Beast from Haunted Cave, which we'll see a trailer for, I think, later. I think it's later. Because the trailers that we're going to see now, we're going to see The Last Woman on Earth. That's the second trailer we're going to see. And the other trailer that we're going to see is for A Bucket of Blood, which is the other the first Roger Corman Horror-Comedy. So those are the 2 trailers.
If you're a true fan, you've already seen that one.
Yes, if you are a true fan, you've already watched our Bucket of Blood episode, which is on YouTube.
I didn't see it.
That's all right. It's fine. It's fine, Evan. It's I'll get over it eventually. I'll just have to make peace with it. But yes, so we're gonna see the trailer for The Bucket of Blood, see the trailer for Last Woman on Earth. I couldn't find a trailer for Battle of Blood Island, which was the war movie he was doing in Puerto Rico. So we're gonna see those 2 trailers, and then when we come back, I'll talk a little bit, because the whole actual story of, like, from him finishing Last Woman on Earth to him starting this movie is insane. I could only wish to have this kind of efficiency. So I'll kind of like go over that when we come back. So enjoy these trailers and come back for the exciting middle of Creature from the Haunted Sea.
The artist, the poet, the figure model who loves to show it.
Esto
because he could be physically attracted to her? No, man, he ain't the type. He don't get enough vitamin E.
All these are beat. All these you'll meet in a bucket of blood.
Let us make the scene. Crazy.
Come, enjoy yourself. Where the hilarious enjoy the horrifying in a bucket of blood.
No, you're gonna shoot me! Don't shoot!
Come to the land of living dreams, where realists dream of the unreal.
Walter, you've done something to me. Something deep down inside of my prana. Oh, Walter, I want to be with you. You're creative.
Beatniks at their bawdiest. The creative urge at its most primitive.
I'm deeply moved, and I shall compose a poem.
Love is art. Art is love. It's the weirdest and the wildest.
I don't want to make statues anymore. I want to get married. To you.
Tropical splendor, these three must make their own world, their own new code of morals.
Where are you going? To Evelyn, and so to bed. We are married, you know, Martin.
Increasing tensions reveal the driving, forceful possessiveness of the gambler.
Please don't.
And the contrasting, sensitive understanding of the lawyer, creating a triangle, dangerous and violent. The last woman on earth, born to bear the brand of two men.
Ask me, though, Martin. I need you to ask me.
All right, Ev, I do want you with me. So he's leaving, and not just because of what he did to you.
Did to me? Harold, Martin didn't rape me.
That's enough.
And we are back. So you saw Bucket of Blood. If you know, you can see some of the same humor there. And again, those both movies had the same screenwriter. And then you've got Last Woman on Earth, which was actually written by the guy who's playing in this movie. He's playing Sparks, aka Agent whatever. And in that movie, he played one of the leads as well. He was actually a screenwriter, and Roger hired him to write the screenplay for Last Woman on Earth when they were still in the States or in the mainland. And Roger, Roger would give people opportunities. So he gave this guy an opportunity. Well, the guy didn't have the script done when Roger was ready to go to Puerto Rico. So Roger said, all right, well, you have to come down to Puerto Rico and finish the script, and you're going to act in the movie too. Since you're not done with it, the only way that I can, justify having you down here is if you're also acting in the film. And so he gets down to Puerto Rico, is having to finish the script, and it's a whole crazy thing.
Incredible.
But he didn't have to write the script for this. Again, that was this guy Charles B. Griffith, who wrote Bucket of Blood and Little Shop of Horrors, and wrote a bunch of other things for Corman. And so, Corman, again, to kind of give you the rundown on this, and I want to read this kind of as I have it written because the schedule's crazy. So he decided halfway through Last Woman on Earth, I want to make Creature from the Haunted Sea. So he gets Charles B. Griffith to write the script. The script comes in on a Thursday as they're wrapping up Last Woman on Earth. So Thursday night, Roger does rewrites of the script because he didn't like it. He thought it was terrible. So Thursday night, after he had finished shooting the movie that day, he does rewrites on the script. The next day, his assistant makes copies of the script and hires locals to be the Cuban generals and other like Cuban characters in this film. And he's still finishing up Last Woman on Earth during the day on Friday. Then on Saturday, he's wrapping it's the last day is on Saturday for Last Woman on Earth. His assistant is locking locations for Creature of the Haunted Sea on Saturday. On Sunday, Roger does pre-pro. 1 day of pre-production. One day. So in the morning. So in the morning, what is it? In the morning, he does just pre-production work, and then in the afternoon he plans all his shots out, and then on Monday they're shooting. Literally the night he has. So and he said in his autobiography for all three movies there was only 1 day of pre-production. That's all that he. I mean, again, that is what I say. Roger Corman had an efficiency with things that.
If all you do is make movies, then
I mean, that was really what all he was doing, and it was just
if you never rest or take a day off.
He just he had an incredible drive, but also just once he kind of figured out the infrastructure and had the infrastructure and knew how to hire the right people, which really seemed to always be, again, this guy who wrote the script tonight and who's playing Sparks, Robert Towne. No, he didn't write the script tonight. He wrote the script for Last Woman on Earth, but he's in both films. He's an Oscar-winning screenwriter. He would go on to be an Oscar-winning screenwriter for Chinatown. He wrote the screenplay for Chinatown, The Last Detail, Shampoo, all these 70s movies. He also directed some movies. So he was Roger Corman had all these disciples that went on to write and direct some of the most famous movies of the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. I mean, even up to he gave Ron Howard's first directing job, right? That's but Roger Corman was that was in the 70s. Roger Corman was doing this as far back as the 50s. He was giving people the opportunity to write scripts or to act. Again, some of the people that are acting in tonight's film paid their own way to Puerto Rico to be in tonight's film.
Wow.
Because Roger's going to give them a chance, especially if they're willing to pay their own way. He didn't have to pay for them. Hey. And
he's efficient, that one.
Right. And it was the same thing with Dementia 13, which again, that was later on, and that was a Francis Ford Coppola film, but it's a similar, that's where Francis Ford Coppola was just learning from the master. It's just a similar principle. What?
When he put all the cast and crew in the barn.
Yeah, they did, in the barn in Ireland. That was where everybody stayed. And Corman said for this one, there was a beach house that some people stayed in a hotel, but he and a lot of other people just stayed in this beach house for 4 weeks that they were in Puerto Rico, and made 3 movies. And this one literally was tonight's film was literally, from conception to the completion of production, that was a 2-week span of time. So I can't understate the efficiency and the. I mean, again, Roger Corman went to school to be I think an architect. That his mind was very he was not originally go, you know, that was not like his dream. That was not something he set out to do. But once he started, couldn't be stopped. And so
I gotta keep making movies or I'll have to be an architect.
I mean, you know, you gotta put that brain to work somehow. And luckily, again, he applied that kind of mind, whatever it's analytical. I don't know what you would call it, but he really applied that to filmmaking and he said, you know, he never views it as an art. He's, you know, just he's kind of like looking for what the audiences want.
Seems like he had it down to a science.
He really did. And again, it's just kind of knowing the trends and having the people available at your whim to work for cheap, and Roger always did. So so we're going to continue tonight's film, Creature from the Haunted Sea. We're going to get into the exciting middle. We've had two deaths so far, murders. One by the gangsters.
Yeah, the gangsters.
And then one sea monster related. And again, we got some
is that a scary looking sea monster.
We got some quick glimpses of the sea monster, and he's, you know, I mean, again, I have a whole quote about how they made the costume for the sea monster, and I'll
did they borrow it off of Sesame Street?
You would think so. When we get after we get a really great close up of the monster, then I'll go into it. It is essentially like they did just put together a puppet. I mean, I'll go ahead and tell you the budget for the costume was $150, so it's not like.
Honestly, that's pretty good though for that kind of money.
I mean, yeah. Well, and again, what could $150 buy you in?
Well, I mean, what year is
1959?
1959.
This was filmed in 59. It came out in 61. Yeah.
I don't know what the exchange rate is, but honestly, even like $1,000 would. To make like a monster costume, even one that's not that great.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, and again, it's that idea that you are having to make a full body costume. It's a lot. You know, and that was another thing that they said that Roger stipulated about the monster costumes. It has to work on land, it has to work in water. You know, like that's the thing. It's these things that you start to think about how like fucking crazy it is, and especially when I tell you more about like, you know, just that whole process, because it sounds crazy when you think about what Roger Corman's.
It was somebody's job to try to have to build this thing.
Yes, and so it's
$150.
Just wait, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I can't wait to get into it. So we are gonna go ahead and get into the exciting middle of Creature from the Haunted Sea.
Today has been brought to you by the letter C.
Dos de vuestros compañeros han sido cobardemente asesinados. Debemos encontrar al que cometió este cobarde asesinato para que esto no vuelva a suceder.
What did he say? Did you notice what happened? Yeah, if you'd like to hear.
Okay, sure.
Please go ahead.
I don't think it was anything human that killed your soldier.
I've seen the tracks and the claw wounds on their bodies.
Some of these jokes are so dry, like you almost don't catch them. You almost don't realize that they're making a joke.
That's why I think I understated it when I just said it's really dry, because that's what I mean. It's to the point that like you miss that it's even a joke.
Right.
That's how Bucket of Blood is. That's how Little Shop of Horrors is. You're like, Little Shop of Horrors probably is the best of the three because the material transcends the jokey nature of some of the jokes, you know, like. But the other ones, it's again, Bucket of Blood's making fun of beatniks, and here, you know, you're making fun of gangsters and revolutionaries, and generals.
Estas aguas son muy peligrosas.
Debemos trazar una nueva ruta.
The general says these waters are very dangerous, so we must plot a new course. Media vuelta a la derecha. Ya.
What do you think of the drink now with the lime and the lemon? We added lime and lemon juice.
Yeah, and what do you think about it?
Got that?
I feel like it's the most subtle. Like, I taste it in the end of the drink. The rum is still the first thing that comes. Like, it's not too sweet. There's it like settles better after.
To knock them all off.
Like the ginger beer, and then I don't get a bitter. I don't get like a sweet taste. It's just a little citrusy.
Yeah,
I like that.
I added some more cranberry juice to mine.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
You prefer the cranberry?
I tasted it.
So we were going somewhere I didn't know.
And then I thought,
Washington
it just
didn't
feels like
know.
it's missing something.
Renzo didn't know. We all had to find out.
Makes sense.
Gentlemen,
I like that
think
little
we
bit of
ought to make our
sweetness.
decision.
I feel that.
Skull.
Yeah, I like the. Jesus Christ.
Now, has anybody got an idea? About what? About where we're going. I thought it was to Ciudad Trujillo we were going. Oh, no. That's been changed. Well, General Tostado thinks we ought to change course in order to escape the monster. ¿Por fin dónde vamos, General? Caracas, Venezuela. No. I think we ought to go to...
Let's go to India. I've always wanted to see a cow.
India.
This time of the year.
Yeah, let's plot a course to India.
Yeah, let's sail all the way
We
around.
certainly have enough provisions for it.
Bali.
Bali! They were very excited.
Quick,
about
put the
that.
paper clips on the fishing pole.
Oh, damn it, I don't have any hot dogs.
No. Please tell the General that I am convinced we ought to go to San Juan, Puerto Rico. Él dice que está convencido el único sitio puede ir es a San Juan de Puerto Rico.
This is Agent XK150 calling Agent XK120 via 190 SL. Come in, Havana.
Paper clips and I mean, again, you can't afford a real radio, so if you're Roger Corman, what do?
Use office supplies.
Somebody just put some shit together so we can get started.
Your budget is nothing, idiot.
Because of his feet, he's a walker and he's got to stay at the bottom. All right, stupid? Right, stupid. Now, when we get to Puerto Rico, we'll take the strong box ashore. Now, as an American, I won't be noticed.
Now, as an American, I won't be noticed.
It really sucks for the rest of you.
Unequivocally, without the slightest qualm of
You
doubt.
guys are all
this
too
gang is
weird to get
heading
away
for
with shit on
south.
this island. I'm a white man.
I think the government should watch for us at the Panama Canal. Over.
Que no perderé de vista esa caja. The General says it's all right. We may go to Puerto Rico. But he won't keep the strongbox out of his sight. Okay, it's a deal.
A joke. Behold, a joke.
Behold, a joke.
I think I smell
Everybody's
land. Are
hold
we almost
silent.
there? Oh, about 6 or 8 hours.
Another lucky shooter. Pause the point.
What has she
been doing this whole time?
You're ravishing.
She's got.
Listen, I
I
have
think
a
she's
plan.
got a pair of dice in her
As soon as we
pocket,
get
and
there,
she's afraid.
We'll wait for night.
She's afraid
And
to
when
go
we're
embarrassed to
weather
show
looks,
anybody.
we'll jump off and swim for
Quit
shore.
fucking
through
looking at her.
shark-infested water so no one will follow us. Then we'll steal a sailing dinghy and head for Brazil. How do you like it?
I think it's grand. You ought to do it.
Well,
They're
I'm
all
met
over
you
the place.
too.
Puerto Rico, Brazil, Venezuela.
I wouldn't ride on the same bus
Venezuela.
with you.
I mean, they've thrown out every
Now, Pete,
possible option.
I want you to listen carefully. Now, on the north coast of the Big Island is a teeny speck of land called La Isla del Borracho, named after one of Columbus's lieutenants. It should be deserted by now. We ought to be able to land there, huh?
Oh my god.
Now,
This guy.
there's a reef around the island and a very narrow opening which we have to go through. I am going to run this yacht on the rocks, right at the entrance. Now, during the panic, we'll take the strong box, load it on a skiff, and head for shore. Now, Pete, when we get over 30 feet of water, I'll give you a signal. And then I want you to capsize the boat. You understand?
He's not paying a lot of
Later,
attention.
Pete, we'll come back and dive for it. You understand everything?
Sure. We hit the rocks, and then we put the box in a skiff, and then we dump it over 30 feet of water so we can come back and get it. And that's because it's filled with nitroglycerin. It shouldn't be on board anyway.
What?
Wait, what?
Nitroglycerin.
Isle of Morocco.
Look at the reefs.
Look at it.
Uh-oh.
Reefs, Dad!
Reef. Look,
Reefs.
everybody just look, but don't say anything.
Definitely not some rocks we shot right off the
It's
shore.
not a jetty, a rock jetty or anything.
Got him.
Seriously. Oh my god. Ah!
Uh-oh.
Got fall.
Come on, Mary Bell.
Move your hands, sir.
Very well, I won't leave you. I'll never leave you.
Move your
Round
hands,
together.
sir.
Demented.
My lunch.
My, what a short memory.
Now, you two go down and get the strong box out of the safe. Go on. It's all right. Be calm, everybody. The boat's insured.
This guy is the dumbest.
I know, I don't know why they... I'd love to hear what noises he's actually making when he's supposed to be making those animals. So that was unscripted, them sinking down like that.
Wow.
They had to get out and rescue them. They had to get them out and rescue them. Ah!
Uh-oh.
Ah!
Row your boat gently up the creek. Merrily, 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 I'm going to.
How many bodies do we have now? 3?
3, I believe it's 3. A whopping 3 bodies!
They have so many people in that rowboat.
I know.
It's like...
You know, this reminds me of one time on Lake
It's not
Minnetonka.
overloaded at all.
Louise Schmidt and I were paddling along.
Barely floating.
When what do you think happened?
Oh shit. Uh-oh.
What did they drop that in? Was it like an aquarium?
General says you have your orders
No clue.
as soon as he can estimate the situation.
Well, you can tell El General. Tell him he's through giving orders around here. Now look, you men have no money and you have no guns and you're on U.S. soil. That's all right, I'm on your side. Pete, I want you to search the island, see if anybody lives here. Jack, you take one of the lifeboats and row to shore. Make your way to San Juan and rent us a fishing boat and plenty of diving gear.
Make your way to San Juan.
Come on, boys.
Like who knows how the fuck far San Juan is from where they're at right
Colonel,
now?
you see if you can get your men to build us a lean-to or something to keep the rain off.
Atención! De frente! Marche!
Whoa. Wow. That was quick.
Yeah. You're on Gilligan's Island.
Yeah. Hey, they're prepared to live there as long as they're stranded. Don't care if it takes years to be rescued.
That's great.
Could stay here forever.
That won't be necessary, baby.
Why?
Well, the way I figure it, these Cubans aren't very much at diving. But Jack, Pete, and I are all pretty good spear fishermen. We'll go down, find the strong box, and hide it in a hole in the reef. After that, we'll tell the Cubans that it's no use. Give up. It'll be safe there for months, even years, until we're ready to come back and get it. You like it?
Booksy, sometimes you are so smart you make me sick.
Wow. That was a weird kiss. He was not ready. So this guy's name is Beach Dickerson.
The character's name? Or
His real name. His name in the movie is Pete Peterson Jr.
Pete Peterson Jr.?
Yeah. Which I think I believe that we've called our dog Pete before. Pete Peterson. Peter Peterson.
Oh, so there's somebody else out there. There's somebody out there for everyone.
Somebody, yep. Oh my gosh.
This is bizarre.
This is ridiculous. What? Love at first sight, I guess. Whoa. It's a fade because of the implication.
How much time just passed? You don't know. It's a fade.
It's a fade. Who knows? Yep, it is a crazy love story. You just start making animal noises at each other, and before you know it, you're in love.
Pete, aren't you going to introduce me to the lady?
Isn't she beautiful, Renzo?
Very lovely. Where did you meet? Oh, no.
That must mean they're in love.
I wish you many happy returns of the day.
Well, isn't that a ring you're wearing, Miss Porcina Perez?
It's a wedding ring.
Wow. So the way Roger worked, though, is that if you were going to act in his movies, you're probably doing a bunch of other things too. So the guy playing Pete Peterson Jr. also was doing sound. He was one of the people tasked with making the creature suit. Him and the guy playing Happy Jack, the guy in the striped shirt. Roger had both of them make the monster costume.
Pete Peterson, and, well, I don't know who the large one is.
Porcina Perez.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Is it's not too far off. It's just that
This woman in Stone One?
the efficiency and I don't know, man.
She's awful friendly.
Lean and mean.
Why don't you come on with me, honey? I'll show you our sorority house.
Senor Capero, I have the honor to report that my men will be ready 1 hour.
Ready for what?
Dive to the strandbox.
You mean your men are divers?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, they are Cuban Army frogmen.
I wouldn't have known they were frogmen. They don't look like frogmen.
I had the situation well in hand. Maribel was weakening, as I'm sure you've noticed. Then she came into my life. I didn't see her coming, but somehow I sensed her presence and knew that my life was changed forever.
Hello, who are you? Sparks Moran.
As a trained espionage agent, I could tell that she was attracted to me. But I wanted Maribel, and Maribel wanted
Definitely
Renzo,
very airborne.
and Renzo wanted to go.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot there very very
Keep this thing firm.
cheap.
You all right? Oh, yes.
All right, we're ready. Let's just keep it on.
I don't know, but I'm ready.
Yeah.
Vamos por los cubanos.
They weren't looking at all. They don't see you have these fucking garden
A comer
hooks.
gimnos.
Oh my god. Do you see that? He has his medals on his...
Oh. On his undershirt to dive in. That's pretty funny actually.
Get your fucking goggles on, bro. Your
They're not
mask.
gonna do any good on your forehead. He's the smartest one out of the crew.
Good luck, Booksy.
Jesus.
What an asshole.
So dramatic. I mean, it's cool they found like a shipwreck to film this. I mean, it's cool they're filming underwater at all. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, is that he had to at least already have an underwater camera, I guess, for one of the other movies. Because the hassle to get an underwater camera back in that day, I mean...
The search for the strong box had
I
begun,
can't.
but the sea was cluttered up with Cubans,
Giant
dispersed
fish
by
swimming
General
right from the
Tostada to
woods.
search independently.
Holding for fish.
All those Cubans alone in the deep. This was a chance for Renzo to again become the sea monster.
Swipe at it.
A lonely Cuban had found one of the many wrecks on the bottom. And Renzo had found the lonely Cuban.
Uh-oh. Why? What is the plunger gonna do underwater? What? Oh, I'm very confused.
That's a deadly plunger. I think
guess so.
I think they killed the guy with the plunger.
I guess they suffocated him with it. Oh my god.
Their attack was cleanly executed.
Underwater murder scene.
The victim was dead. The killer,
No
delighted.
close-ups, all
But
long
not
shot.
Yeah, which one's the
Renzo
which one's
must
the
have
dead
another
one? I
I
can't
think he
really
blood.
tell.
floated up already.
We waited, sensing the dangers below,
Yeah, nobody's gonna see this body floating.
No.
while the
buddy.
unholy three sought new prey. It didn't take them long to find it.
Uh-oh. God, they're killing somebody else? Jesus. Ah! I mean, hey, get them underwater and...
What happened to them? What's this, Todd?
No, it was a monster.
What do you mean a monster?
A real, live, honest-to-goodness monster with claws and everything.
I
Oh,
swear.
you're nuts. Hold this thing.
Can't believe it.
Scouts on
It's too
or...
dangerous for you here. Let's run away. and
There's a
live little.
harpoon in his back. It was a monster.
Hush, Moran.
Let's see.
Well, how can you be in love with him? He's an
Don't
idiot.
you know all
ought to be in
monsters
love
walk
with me.
around
No, I'm in love
with their
with you.
harpoon
Hey, look
arms
at
and
me.
their
Never see you
harpoon
again.
legs?
Oh, if I'd only paid my life insurance premium, I'd kill myself.
Oh,
no,
that's...
Well, why not? No.
That's
You come with me. I told you. Come with me to the jungle.
strange
You see
joke.
one jungle, you've seen them all. You come with me.
Yeah.
You damn good like.
You don't know how to feel. It's not even a joke. It's kind of rough.
Senor, I'm very much afraid of this monster. Well, let's just pick up and go home.
No. I am enough. We will not stop until we have this drum box. From now on, we'll dive with beer guns.
Crazy.
All right, so that is going to take us to our second break.
We're getting up to the climax, I guess.
Yes, getting some intrigue, getting some, now that we've got these villagers in the mix.
I want to see this monster again. We
I
haven't
know.
seen it
We saw it once. It was very quick. and we have not gotten to enjoy the monster yet.
Show me the monster.
I mean, that's the thing. I would have thought that in that second half, that we would have gotten a little more monster action. But
it should have got it underwater.
They killed some people. So that's,
we've got a higher body count.
Right, the body count is 4 now.
Is escalating. We are running out of actors.
Right, yes. The Puerto Rican actors that they were probably paying very little. Well, they're not even actors. They're probably just locals around where they were at. That's, again.
Just some yokels.
Roger Corman is just finding anybody, and that's the thing. For him to be in Puerto Rico and be like, okay, I want to make a sea monster movie, and just to have that idea out of nowhere, and then in a week get everything together and make it happen. I mean, that's just what he did. And like I had mentioned earlier, this wasn't the only sea monster movie that he did, because again, sea monster movies are, it's a whole genre in and of itself. And there is, again, we talked about Creature of the Black Lagoon, and then you have movies like Monster of Piedras Blancas, which we saw the trailer for. That's actually more toward the end of the heyday of this sea monster movie movement. But Roger Corman, before this movie, already had a couple entries under his belt. So, the first one, and one that we'll see a trailer for, is Attack of the Crab Monsters, which we might have seen the trailer before, but it's a fun trailer. It's a fun movie. Again, the title says it all. It's about giant crab monsters.
Delicious.
And then, actually not Roger Corman, but his brother Gene, which Roger had a brother named Gene.
Gene Corman.
Gene Corman. And Gene passed away a couple of years ago, but Gene, I think Gene was older than Roger. Maybe he was younger. I can't remember. No, he's younger. He might have been younger. But Gene,
one or the other.
One or the other. But Gene... But Gene did, he produced some movies that Roger produced, but I think he was also a principal in the production company that did tonight's film, Film Group. And I can't remember if this film is a Film Group film, but there's a movie that Gene produced called Attack of the Giant Leeches, and we're going to see a trailer for that. Again, that's exactly what it sounds like.
Sums it up.
And then...
Which, frankly, I mean, that is actually kind of terrifying.
Yeah, a giant leech.
A giant leech would be horrifying.
It would be horrifying, but then you're going to see this movie trailer, and you're going to see what these leeches look like, and you're going to be unhorrified instantly. That's what I can say, because then we're actually going to have a third trailer, which is for Beast from Haunted Cave, which, again, is where tonight's script, the script for tonight's movie basically is a reworking of Beast from Haunted Cave, which had come out. It's
the Haunted Sea.
Right. And that's the thing, Haunted Cave is a totally different locale. It's like in the snowy mountains of, I don't know where they shot that, like Colorado? I don't know. Aspen? I don't know. They went somewhere, totally different setting, but it's one of these giant monster movies and involving a heist and people trying to steal money or gold from other. I don't know. It's very similar.
Do you think the Gulf is haunted?
Could be.
That's where they're at, right? They're somewhere off the coast of Cuba.
Yeah, I mean that's where's the Bermuda Triangle at? I've never been clear exactly.
It's it's down there. It's kind of more towards the Atlantic Ocean, I think.
Okay, close by. So maybe there's some residual effects in the Gulf carry over.
Yeah.
Certainly could be.
Amelia, you heard it here first, folks. Amelia Earhart was attacked by a ghost.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. It was a ghost or some kind of creature. a monster of some kind, possibly.
It's haunted. Stay out of the Gulf.
It's certainly
it's haunted.
The haunted Gulf. If you haven't heard that before, then we're coining it here. The haunted Gulf.
Creature from the haunted Gulf.
Creature from the haunted Gulf. So, yeah, we're gonna show you these 3 trailers, and again, I think my biggest thing would just be to look at how ridiculous these monsters are, because that's the fun of again in tonight's monster, which we, like Evan pointed out, we haven't gotten to see enough of in the second act. It's just that idea of when you think about the people who are actually making the movie and what it must have been like behind the scenes, being like, okay, we have to make this monster costume. What do we buy? How do we make a giant leech? How do we make a beast from a haunted cave? What do we...
I mean, speaking from experience, I mean, you think of a monster in your head, and then exactly, you have to think, okay, where do I go? What do I need?
Where do I buy what I need to buy? Where do I, what exactly do I use?
Where in the craft store is the monster costume aisle?
Right. And there really should be one, because again, when I tell you about what they used to make tonight's monster costume, I mean, it's essentially like they just went to a craft store. But I think a lot of these certainly fit that bill. So we're going to enjoy these 3 trailers, and then when we come back, we're going to get into the exciting conclusion of Creature from the Haunted Sea.
Isolated Pacific island, the Navy lands a party of daring scientists to solve the mysterious disappearance of an entire atomic research team. Strange horror strikes first at the plane that brought them. And then, earth-shattering tremors begin tearing the island to shreds.
Okay, Professor. How are the crabs blowing up the island?
I am not sure, but imagine they are able to send out arcs of heat. They are packed with it.
They can melt and fuse parts of the caverns, explode the materials contained, and bring about the slides.
There used to be ridges there for maybe 2 miles.
Now there's less than half a city block. Soon we will have nowhere to run.
Fathoms deep among the terrors of the mighty Pacific, daring skin divers brave undersea perils that stagger the imagination. Here are monsters with razor-sharp claws that hand grenades and dynamite cannot stop. Nor searing fire and flame, nor tons of crushing rocks, as mankind faces its last desperate chance.
In the backwoods of the Everglades, the boys had only the storekeeper's woman to talk about.
You want something, Cal?
I sure do, honey.
I know how to take care of a woman like you, Liz.
Then, out of the swamp's depths, again appears horrifying, mysterious creatures, thirsting for lovers' blood. What are these giant mutations whose attack on people sends the whole countryside on an endless search?
Whatever killed those people is still in that lake, and it's going to take more than dynamite to get it out.
And then brings them back to life to gratify their
break trail with 4 men and a girl to the territory of the killer beast. 4 men who live by killing. A girl who has experienced so much that only sadistic brutality can thrill her. Vicious and violent men, attempting the most daring of daylight robberies, enjoying midnight revelries, until one orgy turns into a nightmare of terror. Ride the ski lift to the very top in thrills.
What I saw you wouldn't believe.
Watch men who deal in death meet and fight. The invincible beast from Haunted Cave.
Go back. Go back.
I come to help you.
You can't help now.
And we are back. So that's a little more, so we got to see some other aquatic horror movies that Roger Corman did. Again, the first one, Attack of the Crab Monsters, he directed. He didn't do the Attack of the Giant Leeches. His brother Gene produced, and then Roger produced the last trailer we saw, which isn't an aquatic monster. It's just the same story as tonight's movie, Creature from the Haunted Sea. Which,
how do you think those monster costumes stacked up?
So
I was a little surprised, I think.
What do you mean?
So I thought, for me, I think the ranking would go surprisingly crabs first.
Yes, the crabs were good. Yeah.
Then the beast from Haunted Cave, and then leeches.
Yes, the beast from Haunted Cave one was a little more. The leeches one literally looks like some fabric that was like sewed together and like floats on the water, but then they stuck a person inside of it, and you see their limbs trying to move the thing, and it's kind of claustrophobic for me in a way.
It's weird.
It's really weird, and it's kind of horrifying because, it's like you can see the person's limbs moving in this costume. That must have been just,
a lot of fun to try to operate in the water. I
mean, I hope you're wearing scuba gear or something. I mean, and again, I honestly don't know how they did the monster, how the person, I know who was playing the monster in tonight's film, but with underwater shots, how if you don't have a scuba tank, you're holding your breath. I mean, again, the person who played Creature from the Black Lagoon, they would have to hold their breath underwater for like 4 or 5 minutes.
That's incredible.
The guy that did it, Rico Browning, was there was like a guy who played the monster on land, and then there was a guy who played the monster in the water. Because you had to have somebody who's a really good swimmer and can hold their breath for a really long time.
Free diver.
And that guy was like a stunt man. I think he might still be alive. But
how long can you hold your breath?
Not that long. Maybe if I'm lucky, I can get a minute. If I'm lucky. It's hard though. It's trying again. If you, and I am. I like to swim. I'm in the water a lot. So it's one of those things that every once in a while I try to see. And I feel like I'd like to think that my breath control has gotten better over time. That may be that may not be accurate. It probably gets worse the older you get. But I would like to think that I could really, if I had to hold my breath for a long time, then I could. But it ain't easy. What was it? They're saying that for the new Avatar, that for Avatar 2, that like Sigourney Weaver had to learn how to hold her breath for like over 5 minutes underwater.
God.
Yeah, go look that up. I don't know how. I can't do that, so I don't know what fucking 70-year-old Sigourney Weaver's doing that I'm not doing, but she's not that old, but she's that's what, I'm not meaning that in a bad way. It's that's what I'm saying. It's amazing that for her age, you know, and again, she's older, like, and she's doing that stuff. That's crazy. So it's just, you know,
shout out to Sigourney.
Shout out Sigourney. We always got to shout out Sigourney. I love Sigourney Weaver. She's great.
Badass.
But yes, so, and again, you look at Alien, you look at a monster suit like you get an Alien, and then you look at what we get here. And again, I can tell you about tonight's costume, or I can save it for after we've seen it more. What do you think, Evan?
Maybe after we've seen it.
Okay, yeah, I think because we saw it a little bit, but it wasn't enough to really
appreciate
take it
what
in.
we're looking at here.
Really appreciate it. So
I think that's part of what made the beast from the haunted cave in that trailer work pretty well. Was that, like, it was kind of hard to tell what you're looking at exactly,
right?
But I think it kind of makes it a little scarier,
right? Yeah, and that was what was cool about that first monster shot we got in this movie. It's just we got that, and then we haven't had another one for 25 minutes afterwards. So it's kind of like, all right, well, let's get a little something going here. So we're in the third act, so God knows we're getting more monster, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So, I mean, what do you think, Evan? Do you think that the gangsters are going to get away with the gold, or do you think the secret agent is going to bust them, or do you think the monster is going? What do you?
I think that the secret agent has not been talking to anyone, because I don't think you can make a radio out of paper clips and a sausage.
No, you wouldn't think so.
Maybe the creature's after the gold.
Could be money hungry creature. Wouldn't put it past Roger Corman to take it to the next level. Give this monster a motivation.
This is a monster heist movie.
This monster, he wants in on the take, and he wants it all for himself. So we're gonna see, does the monster get it, or does the American government come in and take charge? Is Agent XK, is whatever's sausage radio actually work? Who knows? We'll find out in part 3 of A Creature from the Haunted Sea. So here we go.
Man, how good were those crabs, though? There's something, they had human eyes.
They did have human eyes. I was trying to figure out what it was about the eyes that I felt like it was so weird.
Yeah, it makes it so unsettling.
It does. That's a good point.
Because it's not just a big crab with big dumb crab eye stalks. They had freaking human eyes.
Yeah, that's what it was. That was so weird.
You
look at a lot of Roger Corman movie monsters, and they have human eyes. It's kind of strange.
Óyeme, la novia lo dejó ahora por un idiota y el pobrecito, tú sabes, quería matarse. Pero yo le dije que no lo hiciera, que él necesitaba una persona que lo alegrara.
I think she called him an idiot.
I was telling her what that no good of Carmelita do to you. I was telling her to cheat you up.
Oh, gee, thanks, Porcina. But it really wasn't necessary.
You not like mango?
Oh, yeah, I like it.
Siento mucho lo que le ha pasado, señor. Es algo que le pasa a todo el mundo con mucha frecuencia. Es lo mejor.
He no speak good English, señor.
Well, I don't think that's going to matter at all.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm going back now.
What do you think?
Peterson,
Yikes.
I don't know. It's,
Too late at this point.
Love at first sight again.
Yeah, man, it happens fast here on the island.
Whoa.
Oh shit. Uh-oh. consequences, dude.
Are you all right, Porcino?
Oh, I'm all right, my hero.
My hero.
Hey, where's Happy Jack?
Oh, come on. I'll take you to them.
Happy Jack.
Yes.
Tú eres muy dulce.
Yep. She definitely called him an idiot earlier. That checks out.
Yep. Yeah, good picking up on that.
Man, it's hard for me to actually keep up with the speed that native, Spanish speakers speak, but I can get a word or two, and I can get the gist. I hope.
Para poder venderle sombreros de palma de coco y sandalias.
Oh, I know, Mango. I know. Well, here come Pete and Porcino.
Se parecen a los premios más baratos en una galería de tiro.
Burns? Man, get some good burns.
Gosh, yes, that's really
Mango Perez,
kind of
Porcino's
mean
daughter.
girl stuff.
She's almost as pretty as her mother.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Yeah, but can't she do imitations?
Well, I
So
don't know.
she's pimped out her daughter to this
Gosh, you're gonna marry her?
depressed
Yeah, well,
American.
why not?
Why not? If you marry Mango, and I marry Porcino, I'll be your father. Woo! What kind of a boy call was that?
So one thing Roger wrote in his autobiography about this movie, this scene in particular, was that he was mad because there wasn't a lot of movement in the script. So for this scene, he put in them playing football with a coconut.
I'd like to marry Mango.
I was just thinking this really looks like a scene from The Rim.
Yeah, yeah, that was his way of getting more movement in the scene. Was let's have them playing touch football with a coconut while they're talking about all this.
Well, it worked great for Tommy Wiseau. It worked great for Roger Corman.
That's where Tommy Wiseau got the tip from, I guess. Went to Roger Corman filmmaking school.
Well, she is my sister. Of course, we could keep her around to do the housekeeping.
Sure.
And she'll get over losing Renzo.
Sure.
Well, how about it? Is it a deal?
They're gonna kill Renzo?
They've been cheating on their income tax anyway.
Ay, ya yo me estoy cansando de esta jeringonza.
Wow. Very, wouldn't have expected him to be thinking about that.
Yeah.
Bart, where's Pete and the boys? They know we should be diving this afternoon.
I think they're somewhere in the jungle.
Está proponiendo una cosa sucia. Le pido una satisfacción. What's this? What is this?
This man's wife is playing around with Mr. Pierre. He's very angry.
That's tough. Mire, lo único que puedo hacer es venderla. Yo creo que $50 y una caja de caldilla está en orden.
This man wants to sell you his wife for $50 in a case of rum.
Gotta be nuts.
$50 in a case of rum sold.
Carmelita, will you talk to him? We're busy.
Oh, sure. I will tell him to cut down to 20 for a fifth of gin.
Gin nothing. Who wants to buy his improbable wife? Come on,
He's an improbable wife? What does that mean? Oh my god. Okay. I was trying to count how many soldiers there actually were. How many have been killed?
Yeah, how many are left?
2 are left, 4 have been killed.
All right, baby. Listen, you hold on to these because I can't use them without Peter Jack to help me, huh?
See, what I don't understand, he's got these claws out, and then you got one of the generals right there. They just have no clue. So I think their plan is to kill Renzo and get the gold for themselves.
Everybody wants that gold.
Everybody, that's how heist things go, man. People get stakes out for themselves and
they get greedy, people get got. That's what all heist movies need, is a monster that just keeps showing up and offing people.
It's like, wait, I that wasn't you. I thought you were gonna kill him, and that was how we were gonna scare everybody off. Nope, that wasn't me.
Renzo Capetto had at last found the strongbox. And the unknown partner had found Renzo Capetto.
Behold, a monster.
There's no way.
Yeah, that would be so fucking
if it was
heavy.
full of gold, oh my god.
Good luck getting that thing off the ground. What is it made of?
Do you want to know?
Yes.
Okay, so this is from the Beach Dickerson, the guy who's playing Pete Peterson. He said, they just wrapped the war pictures, so I decided to get 5 helmets and make this giant head. Then we get a wetsuit, some moss, lots of Brillo pads. Then we get tennis balls for the eyes, ping pong balls for the pupils, and pipe cleaners for the claws. Then we cover him with black oilcloth to make him slimy. I mean, we decked him out. He was absolutely glorious.
Wow.
And the guy who plays Happy Jack is also playing the monster, Robert Bean.
So yeah, they cut tennis balls and ping pong balls in half.
He he barely has use of his arms. Oh my god.
That seems dangerous.
It's very dangerous. Ah. What?
They don't look like they're in that deep water.
No. They really, they're standing and then she got yanked down all the way. Like deep down.
Yeah,
nope,
they're
apparently they're not
deep.
standing.
They are fully treading water. Marco!
Bolo!
Marco! Marco!
Why'd you have to do it, Renzo? Why did I have to do what?
Why'd
Don't play
you
games
have
with me.
to
Why'd
do
you
it?
kill her? Jack, I swear I had nothing. I said don't play
I feel like
games.
this lady has
We
done
all
very
saw it.
little in this movie.
The same 5 incisions in those
I mean,
brown
again,
marks on that stupid
Roger
car plunger.
Corman's
Why'd you ask Mary,
movies,
but I gave her the rakes before I went
female
on.
characters for the
You had 2
most
more in your
part
trunk.
are
Just
not
in
really
case you said,
center
remember?
stage.
Yeah, I remember. But
It's
they're
their
still there.
accessories. Although,
I
the
can't
Wasp
convince them.
Woman,
Maybe you can.
that's different. That's a good one. I really like that one. It's a lot of fun. I
think
can't
I
wait to
did it?
watch that.
Well, what else can I say? You made that monster up out of thin air. Now don't try to tell me it's real. I'm not that stupid.
Well, I am. I always believed in it.
But it's gotta be real. Either that or the Cubans are trying to kill us off. I can't buy that. I don't care what you buy. From now on, we're gonna dive with spears like the rest of them. We've got to get rid of the rest of those Cubans as quickly as possible. Now, we'll start tomorrow morning with tostada. Jack? Pete?
Uh-oh. She happy, Renzo. Renzo is played by an actor named Anthony Carbone, who also is in Bucket of Blood. He plays the owner of the Beatnik coffee shop. And
Possible death
he
notwithstanding,
did some other Roger
the
Corman
courageous general and 2 of his men dove once more into the deadly sea. But, as usual, they were not alone. Renzo waited for them to separate.
How much oxygen could they possibly have in those tanks that they're making repeated dives?
Not much, unless they have like some larger tank on board they could refill with.
One pulled
right?
away, and then there were
Right?
2.
I mean,
Whoa.
wow. Nice
Jeez. Where are they in Puerto Rico that it's just
Tostada went all
every
alone into the
fish,
forbidden
every
void.
turtle?
With the killers closing in.
Stingrays, dude. What is... The marine life is ridiculous. That's the one thing about, like, you know, I guess Creature of the Black Lagoon's in the Amazon, but I don't see too many other
The
fish.
giant observer stood watching over a pathetic bit of cloth, all that remained of Mango. At last, Tostada had found his gold in his own watery grave.
Oh shit.
Underwater fight.
Underwater fight, yeah. It's not gonna end well.
So in one of those trailers, I think the guy called these people skin divers.
The general died as all generals should.
That's not really a
greedy
term
murderers
I've
let his
heard.
body drift away
I
while they congratulated
feel like
themselves.
I have heard that. Skin divers. Look that up. I've definitely heard it.
Happy Jack found the scrap
tell
of a
you.
dress and knew what had happened to his beloved. Suddenly,
Oh, I missed it. What happened? Just the
he
monster.
goes suddenly, and the monster shows up, and then he just shoots it with a harpoon.
Who is that? Who just got killed?
I'm not sure.
Her brother.
Don't touch me.
Oh, honey.
Go ahead, try to talk yourself out of it. Try to talk yourself cool this time.
Baby.
All right, tell me the Cubans did it, only they were on board.
Yeah, free diving, breath holding underwater, scuba diving. That's what it means.
You again. Ren.
Mary Bell, I saw what he did to you. They killed your brother. And now you've got to leave, Mary Bell, and there's no one to help you but me. Oh, Mary Bell, I love you so much.
Jesus, dude, give it up. Nice, nice, yes. Terrible backstrap.
She's
terrible.
Oh.
Oh my god, dude. Oh,
it was done.
jeez.
I could
Got
tell that the sun
him.
was going
You
down.
can turn blue.
You can turn blue. Jeez Louise. His face definitely will from that sock in the jaw.
All my army is finished. I know when the general died. I don't care about the fox anymore. Let the monster kill him. I don't want him to kill any more of my men. Neither do I, Colonel. I think we must go to Ciudad Trujillo in the morning. You can go anywhere you like. I'm going home. To America? America? No, I can't go back there anymore. Sicily. Oh.
Sicily.
I've got an uncle there who's been after me for years to help him stamp grapes. It's beginning to appeal to me.
Ha! Get it?
Mary Bell.
Appeal.
Oh.
I know.
You know, if you wanted
But
to
I
peel
love
your
you.
grapes, I guess you could.
Kind of nice having
Ha.
somebody love you.
Do you know people that peel their grapes?
You might like
No. Do you?
I guess I can
I
try.
feel like I have known some.
She
Okay.
pressed her hot Latin
Who
lips
peels
against mine,
grapes?
and I forgot everything but
This is
harmony.
small.
But our silent partner was
Ah!
not willing to let me
What?
through.
The monster looks
I
like
love
shit.
that. It's great.
There was but one thing
That's
a
a
responsible
huge
trusted
piece of
representative of the United
shit.
States government could do at a time like this. Get out of there.
Mary Bell. Honey, I'd just like one more chance to explain.
It's so funny. The head is made out of just a bunch of helmets
All right,
attached to each other.
5 helmets stacked on top of each
no matter
other.
where you go or what you do or who you kill. I love you till the day I die.
Ah, there it is.
Ah, it's in the title sequence, title sequence, title sequence. Shoot, fire, fire. Yeah, oh my god. Yeah, there you go. Oh my my god. It has no mobility in the upper part, so it just looks like a giant thing. Oh, good for you, Pete Peterson.
Renzo loved Mary Bell, but he was the skipper and decided to go down ahead of his ship.
Wow, coward. You're out of focus, out of focus.
Oh no, it's coming right for me.
It's moving, it's swimming so fast, I can't escape. Hey, land and by sea. I love that. Nice. I would have liked to, give us a body or something.
Carmelita, I've never known a girl like you.
You spent your whole life in a monastery?
Carmelita, I love you and I want to marry you and take you away from all this.
Is this a Woody Allen character?
I think.
Of course, we'd have to live
if
on
you
the
didn't have
salary
those
of an American
lenses,
spy,
seems
which
like
is
it.
$41.50 a week.
I don't care. You're so strong, so intelligent. You see how you solve this whole case? You're the smartest torpedo in the whole world.
I'm not really as smart as I look, Carmelita. You see, I have to admit that all that time I thought Renzo and the Cubans were trying to steal that strong box. But I was wrong. The real
this is
killer
just
was
Woody
the
Allen
monster.
and bananas.
So what? You're a
If you haven't seen it, I mean, hey.
So I got the girl. And guess who got the gold?
So it looks like the monster is cleaning out his teeth picking his teeth with the bones of his victim. I guess Renzo was the last victim. So that was Creature from the Haunted Sea. And yeah, that monster, I mean, we got plenty of monster action there at the end.
Yeah, I saw plenty of the monster.
Plenty of how immobile and how, there's just not a lot that you can do when it's, I would love to know what they used as the base to go on the guy's shoulders.
Right,
on
yeah.
top of the 5 helmets that they had.
Because it was definitely like just, there was a piece.
Yeah, there was some kind of
underneath all his
upper body
rags.
piece, and then it was just above. I guess it must have just ended right at his shoulders because his arms were still mobile.
Mm-hmm.
So, the workmanship, shoddy as it may be, still.
Hey, I mean,
it works.
It's something.
It is certainly something.
The thought, I mean, you build something like that that can stay together in the ocean.
Yeah, that it worked on land and sea is it'd probably work on land, but no way it just fall. The fact that it didn't just fall apart in the water.
Yeah.
That is what. Yeah, I mean, it is like
it's impressive, at
it
a
is
level.
for what it is, for the fact that they were given $150. This isn't a big studio special effects money. This is, hey, I decided to make this movie last week. Do you guys, can you aspiring actors make a monster costume? Well, fuck, if you give me $150, I guess I can throw something together. Okay, boom, done. And here we have it. Because again, both the guys that made it was the guy playing Happy Jack and the guy playing Pete Peterson, and the guy playing Happy Jack also wore the costume. So it, and again, that monster, the image of the monster in this movie has become kind of a cult. And that's why this movie is a cult movie, is because that's just a very recognizable image. I don't know if there's any fans of Malcolm in the Middle out there. I'm certainly one.
I'm also certainly one. Wait, is this
in
movie
the opening credits whenever
it is, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh my god.
And it's the
I
same
never
thing we
made
use
that.
in the opening credits of this show when the monster comes out and grabs the lady. But yes, and I've been rewatching Malcolm in the Middle recently,
Great show.
and I love it. It is
Such
a
a great
terrific show. There was an episode I watched last night where there were two different timelines going on, and it was
the bowling episode.
Yeah, dude.
That's the best one in my opinion.
I don't.
I think that they won an award for that one because it is such a
I've been
damn good
watching
episode.
a lot and I remember watching them when they first came on Fox, like as a kid. But then the bowling one I did not remember, and it blew my mind last
it's
night because I was like,
incredible.
wait, what are they doing? They're doing this.
Yeah.
This is 2001.
Everybody
like,
at home, go watch the bowling episode.
Go
from
watch the bowling episode.
Malcolm
It's
in the Middle.
Hulu. If you've got Hulu, watch the bowling episode of Malcolm in the Middle. It's pretty wild. And then the ending, all of it.
It's great.
It's so good.
So good.
It is a lot of fun. That show is just very... I think it's easy to just take it for granted and let it fly under the radar. But if you go back and watch it now, which I've started to, there's some wild shit in that show. There's stuff that's kind of inappropriate now in a way that's Craig, who works in the store with Lois, and he's really much more creepier than you remember him to be.
He really is.
And the first episode, you realize what their goal. Rewatching that, you realize what their goal was, to just fucking totally deconstruct your notions of a sitcom family. The parents are running around nude in the first episode. You never saw a sitcom family ever do that.
Right.
And that's what the whole episode feels like. Every scene, it's like, okay, what would a sitcom family never do? Okay, let's do this.
And it's very relatable in a way.
It is. It's more relatable than the bullshit that you get. I know we're going off on a whole Malcolm in the Middle diatribe, but
we're spinning off into a tangent.
We are. It's if the images, if the monster looks familiar, I can just tell you, it's been used in a lot of pop culture stuff because, again, it is public domain. And I mean, even if it's not, you can use a short snippet, and you're usually good, which
fair use.
Malcolm in the Middle, here it works both ways. But yeah, great show. And
we need a one of those social media challenges where we need the $150 corrected for inflation. You take that to a Hobby Lobby or something, and you have to build a monster.
Oh, we should do something like that. Yeah, let's try it, man. I would be interested to know. All right, I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah,
forgive me. I gotta.
Okay,
we'll
get the figure.
Hold on, get the figure. Adjusted for inflation.
So everybody at home, now is when you need to open up your hearts and open up your purses,
your wallets,
and donate to our challenge so we can make this monster costume.
Okay, so we're in 1959, and it's $150. Then in today's, oh my god,
what is it?
That's a lot of money to spend on your monster costume.
What is it?
What do you think it is?
I mean, I thought $1,000 earlier was a conservative estimate.
I'd say that's fair. I'd say that was a conservative estimate. $1,500.
Oh, wow!
It's $1,506.
That's
and 68 cents.
That's more than I would have thought.
Right. It's literally
that's a lot of money to spend on a. I think we could make a pretty damn good monster costume.
If we had 1,500 smackers, bro, easily make a very good monster costume. I mean, my goodness, with
Do you
pool
think we could do
goals, all
better
we had
than,
was makeup and.
I think
you
we
know,
could make a better costume than
that.
this.
I would like to think so. You'd like to think we were enterprising like that and could just make an incredible monster costume for the same price.
But would it work in the ocean?
That's the test. That's the actual challenge is, can it work on land and sea? And so
we'll get the Mythbusters on it.
We'll have to be the Mythbusters on it. And unfortunately,
so we need to fundraise $1,500.
I mean, you look like you're looking close to a Mythbuster right now with glasses and beard, and so we're halfway there.
Hey, I'm a scientist.
You're a scientist, yes. You work in a lab. So, yeah, I mean, it is kind of crazy to think about the inflation rate for one. But also
a little bit of topic.
Yeah,
topical.
it's a little topical. But no, again, that $150. You know, now back then, nowadays it's $1,500.
Do you have the budget for this movie?
Let me see on that, because I don't have that written down. Normally, but normally in Corman's biography, he has it written down, recorded how much he spent on it, but he didn't have a figure when he talked about Creature from the Haunted Sea, and there's not one
It's a mystery
right here. Because again, what he did was
low.
Remember how I told you that they were like, before he even left the States, there was a movie that he was producing that was being shot in the United States. So that he sent his assistant to help on. So he instructed that his assistant, as soon as you're done with this movie, take whatever leftover funds you have, come to Puerto Rico,
Wow.
and so
Bring me my change.
Yeah,
and
so
we'll
it's
make another movie.
that's basically what he did. Was he took the change from this other thing, and I think that's how he made Creature from the Haunted Sea. And then I saw this thing. It wasn't in the book, but it was on. I think it was on Wikipedia, or it may have been on Turner Classic Movies or American Film Institute's entry for it. But there was something about how he didn't really pay people very much for this, and they were having trouble getting out of the country, or I shouldn't say country, the territory.
Mm-hmm.
And so the cinematographer withheld the film until Roger made sure everybody got out. I don't know if that's true. He wouldn't mention it in his biography even if it was true.
It's a rough life if you're on the crew of a Roger Corman flick.
Yeah, when you hear Roger's version of how he does things, it sounds very fun and enterprising. But then when you hear other people's versions of working for Roger, it's kind of like, well, I kind of got screwed. He was giving me an opportunity, but at the same time, I was taking some risks.
Yeah, there's a reason why there's guilds around film production.
That's the whole thing. Roger's stuff was non-union. Like, all this film group stuff was non-union, I'm pretty sure. I believe. I can't remember where I read that, but I can't even remember if American International, because the way it worked was Roger did a lot of his own movies, but then he would work for American International, and he would still be doing his own stuff. They would just give him the money to do it, but it was still his thing that he had to kind of follow their rules. So I don't know if he had to hire union people on their things, but I'm pretty sure on his independent stuff he did not hire union people. So yeah, that's why there are unions for sure. Gotta have rules to keep people safe and keep people, giving people what they deserve, what they,
Because otherwise you end up in Puerto Rico and you're not sure if you're going to get home from this job.
And come home. I remember that happening to me. Well, I was coming home. It was just a day later than I thought I was supposed to be coming home. So I went ahead and came home early. But
yeah, you were in Puerto Rico. Why didn't you shoot a movie?
Bro, that's what I'm saying. Roger Corman, when I read that's how he did this, which I bought his biography years ago and read it years ago. So it was like, but it was after I had been to Puerto Rico, so it was like, this is the dream. Go to Puerto Rico and manufacture movies.
Right.
I mean, there was a later
the tax
thing,
credit's still around.
Well, there was a later thing where people would film movies in like the Philippines, and there were places that enterprising American producers, independent producers would go. That there were some kind of incentives, or there was, at the very least, the rules are kind of, you can play fast and loose, and you can crank a movie out cheap and hopefully make a big profit and make another movie, which that was just always what Roger Corman did. Flip it. You make a big profit, and then you flip it. And
that's the biz.
That's what you want. That is the biz. And that was what Roger was really, really good at, because once he did his first one, he was just constantly flipping after that.
Did this movie make money?
Yes. So again, he didn't mention this in the book, I don't think, but on Wikipedia, it says that, because this movie was marketed. Hold on, let me clear my throat for this.
Enunciate.
Marketed. Why am I wanting to say marketed?
You got it.
Marketed. This movie was marketed as a straight horror movie and not a comedy. And so Roger felt like that hurt. Or no. Wikipedia didn't say Roger. It just said that the movie's potential was hurt by the fact that it was marketed as a horror movie and not as a horror comedy. So I don't know if that's true. I know that maybe it was this one or one of the other ones that he made around this time that he said he didn't make as much back as he would have liked, but it was a profit. Like, there was only one movie that he lost money on, and it's called The Intruder. He eventually made his money back, but initially it was a loss. It was called The Intruder, and it's about I guess for lack of a better term, race baiter who goes down to the South to stir up trouble during like 1960s, like. And the race baiter is played by none other than William Shatner.
What?
And I don't know if that movie's public domain, but it was one of those things where they were filming it in the South, and they were like getting chased from locations by like maybe KKK people, or
wow.
It's just like a whole thing. And that was one of the only movies. He eventually made his money back, but initially it was a loss. And he was the one time I tried to do something artistic and meaningful and like a movie with a message, and nobody saw it. And so then
I even put William Shatner in the movie.
He did, and William Shatner at that time was just a young Canadian actor who was. That was one of his early breaks. Like, I mean, that was probably around the time that he did some Twilight Zone appearances. He was doing other things. Star Trek didn't start until Star Trek, whatever you want to call it, didn't start until.
Yeah, what did you call it? Star Trek.
I did call it Star Trek. Star Trek didn't start until 60. I don't know. I can't give you the exact
60s.
year. 60s, definitely after The Intruder. But The Intruder was the one movie that Roger Corman lost money on. All these other movies, he made a profit. Again, for this movie, tonight's film, Creature from the Haunted Sea, I don't think it was a big profit, but hey.
Well, it wasn't a big budget.
Wasn't a big budget. And that was his whole thing, is that if he could just crank a movie out reusing the funds that were left over from another movie and keep it at a tight budget, well, you get a whole other movie to market and make money off of.
It feels like a reverse producer's scheme.
It is. It's like an actual smart way to do it, where you're
just being as efficient as possible.
As efficient as possible. And I mean, that was Roger's formula. That was what he did, you know, first kind of on his own, really. I mean, he worked, you know, he had his own company. He worked for American International, but he was directing, he was doing it all. And then 1970, he founded his own company called New World, where he didn't direct. Again, his name wasn't even always on movies as producer. He was like running a studio, basically, and hiring all these other, you know, Roger Corman light people. Again, like in the same way that he identified Francis Ford Coppola and hired him as an assistant once he had his own like big studio. Because again, like he had a company before that, but he didn't have a studio. In the 70s, he had a studio. And so he found young talent. That's when he got like Ron Howard and had Ron Howard direct his first thing, was when he had New World. So we'll get to see plenty of Roger Corman movies. Again, most of the film group stuff is not copyrighted, so we'll get to enjoy all the offerings from him.
So keep that bookmarked. We've got our names here on the stream.
Yes.
Our Lugosi's.
Our Lugosi's, our Cormans, whether it's cast, whether it's crew. There's always important people that will show up time and again on this show. So it's important to, you know, I like to track their careers. And, you know, depending on the movie and what we've talked about before, are going to talk about later with what they've done, I like to give context. You know me.
I mean, it's history. We're digging into the history of cinema.
That's what's fun.
Digging down into the strata.
Right.
Of the people who came before us.
Right. Exactly. It's all inspirations, and you can trace things from movies like tonight's film, or just people like Roger Corman, to, you know, filmmakers and movies today. I think Roger Corman kind of always says that a movie like Jaws wouldn't be possible without his monster movies, because, you know, it's just that idea of, you know, Roger Corman was like, well, I was playing with things about the less you see of the monster at first, the better. Like, you know, it's like all these things that people said, well, Jaws did this. Jaws set the precedent. And Roger's like, hold on now. I was doing this. And he was. And again, he was just an independent person at a time when independent filmmaking was still not accepted in the way that it is now. But again, like once the production code broke down, you got to the mid to late 60s. That's when independent filmmaking became kind of, it's artistic, it's all these things. But before then, it was very much cheap, low budget, bottom of the basement. You know, if you saw enterprising things, I mean, there were enterprising independent filmmakers, but it was few and far between. And again, one of the enterprising independent films that we got to see in season 1 was our season 1 finale, White Zombie. So we're going to see another independent film that is a sequel to White Zombie.
Hey!
Next week. It's 1930. Well, I think next week. It's 1936's. Hold on, wait. Let me get it. Revolt of the Zombies. I had to get the title right. There's a lot of the Zombies titles that come like in the 30s and 40s, so I have to keep track of it. But Revolt of the Zombies is a sequel to White Zombie.
We'll have to get a recap from White Zombie.
No recap. Spoiler alert. Lugosi's not in it. It's not a sequel so much.
They killed him, didn't they?
They did. They killed him. It's not a sequel. There's some very loose connections. It's a very loose sequel.
It's a spiritual sequel.
But it's by the same filmmakers. It's by you could call it a spiritual sequel. But same filmmakers, same same team for the most part, I believe, but no Lugosi, unfortunately. But hey, we're going back to the early zombie film, which, again, the zombie film is a whole subgenre of movies that we certainly will get to watch on this stream, and so...
And you can certainly trace back some modern flicks.
You can, and I'm trying to save Night of the Living Dead for later. I don't want to play the Night of the Living Dead card too early because I am going to venture to say right now that it is maybe the best, greatest, most important film that we will show on this stream.
It's a watershed. It really is.
Above and beyond, linchpin, watershed, any of those terms would be applicable to what Night of the Living Dead is to horror movies. Hey, you might as well see what zombie movies were before Night of the Living Dead, because everybody knows,
get that context.
Zombies now, but that was literally established with Night of the Living Dead. But before that, there's a whole context of zombies that people aren't necessarily familiar with. So we're getting it next week. I'll go, not to underwhelm you, but it's not necessarily the most... I haven't heard good things about this movie. I haven't seen it all the way. It doesn't have Lugosi. It's short, so, hey... At the very least, it's not enjoyable.
So get hype for next week.
Hype for next week. Revolt of the Zombies, cool title. We'll see. Get hype for it though. And again, I say maybe because we're working out some scheduling things with the next couple weeks. I'll just go ahead and tell you now. I'm getting busy. Next week, and then 2 weeks from that, which is our season finale. So I'm trying my best not to push anything back. Ideally, I will not push any dates back, but we'll see. Of course, I will try to update our loyal viewers as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody that tunes in and keeps up with our show and watches, and so we try to stay on schedule for you guys. I don't want to deviate from the schedule, but I've got to get the scheduling stuff worked out, and I will, and I definitely will. So hey, we cannot say enough how much fun it is to bring you guys public domain horror movies on Friday night, and to have you guys tuning in, spending these Friday nights with us. It means a lot. If you are seeing us for the first time right now and you want to see more episodes, you can find us on YouTube.
Hey, can we say welcome?
Do what?
Can we say welcome if you're seeing
us?
Yes,
if you're seeing us for the first time, welcome. Hello out there.
The stream's almost over.
But hello, new viewers. And yes, you can see old past episodes of the stream on our YouTube channel, which is linked below if you're watching us on Twitch. You can figure out what next week's episode is going to be if you forget, or what the drink is going to be that is going to be paired with next week's episode on our Instagram page at
what
Screen
3-course
Show.
meal is going to be paired with
Yes, when I finally design and start, once we get full sommelier up in this bitch.
We'll get the butler on it.
We're getting the butler on it. We're going to have great food and drink pairings for every movie. And you can find the drink pairings on Instagram at Scream Stream Show. Once I get the Evans Key and Peele Meet Frankenstein meme posted on the Twitter page, you can check that out at Scream Stream Show. We try to get all our best Dolly generations and all our best memes on the Twitter page, so you can check us out there. You join us on Wednesdays for the mini-sodes. We are about to wrap up.
We're getting pretty deep.
Phantom Creeps. We're deep into the fedoras and the traveling back and forth. Meteorites and bushes and giant cars. I could go on. Robots. I mean, hey.
It's very exciting.
Everything you
on
could
Wednesday
want.
nights.
It really is very exciting. And we are getting close to the tail end, so you can catch past episodes on YouTube and then join us on Wednesdays at 9 for that. Hopefully, we'll be back here next Friday for Revolt of the Zombies. Until then, sweet screams, everybody.
Which, please. Don't turn blue.
No, not at all.